Um, you know, I have to tell you where, for me, bless and release has been something I've done for a really long time. And I have to say when it really started, sort of my husband started the idea of when my mom passed away, he made Chinese lanterns. And anyhow, by then both of my parents had passed away. And he made these Chinese lanterns, and in New Year's Eve, um, we went out. So I live on this beautiful lake, and it was really cold, and there was lots of snow. And we had made these big lanterns, and he handmade each of them. They were really quite big. I'm going to say they were probably 3 feet big, like tall. They were very big. And we got to write on them all the things that we wanted to let go.
We drove up to the top of this mountain that overlooks the lake and overlooks our current house that we're in. And it was, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night. Of course, that time of the year, it's just pitch black. And not in the city or out in the country, so you could see the stars and, no street lights. And we lit them and we let them go, and they flew up over top of the lake and out of sight. And it was an amazing release because that was a tough year. We
Yeah.
lost family members that year. Yeah. But it was so good and we were ready for it. And so I love this because doing this with us here right now this week, you're ready for it. You're ready for it. Even with me, I was mentioning to people coming in earlier that yesterday I kind of was rushed. I got to do it. I got to do my burning and and everything so I can get it posted. And even in my frantic state, it was still a powerful experience for me. It was good. Yeah. So if you did
I
not get a chance to do that,
do
make
it.
sure you
Yeah.
do it. It's important. It's important.
I don't ever talk about my mom because, you lose it, right? This is the first time I've ever talked about it, but anyway, that was the beginning of letting go to build something new. Um, to build a new model, you have to make the old model obsolete. You can proceed out of it, um, but you've got to build a new model. And last year was a model. This year is going to be a new model. And you want to be grateful for the model that you have. You never want to make the model wrong. Like you don't. You always want to be grateful for the model because it taught you. And um, we tend to get really down on ourselves, and we're amazing creators. Do you know what I mean? We are absolutely amazing creators. And um uh when we allow ourselves to release and say thank you for the lessons that I've learned and be grateful for it, it allows space. We have so much capacity. Does that make sense? We have so much capacity, and sometimes it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And then we get to a place of over capacity. And I would say over the last few years, we have gone through, not only with COVID, but we've gone through just a lot of changes of coming back from what happened. And I don't think we realize what it's done to our nervous system, what it's done to relationships, what it's done to careers, what it's done to finances, what it's done to so many things. And we're still living in that concept. And I mean, we're not, and we are. It still has remnants. Does that make sense? It still has some remnants that still flutter through. And we still carry belief systems of unrest, and be it government, political, economical, whatever. I think we don't realize how much we get shocked. Our systems get shocked over and over again. Do you know what I mean? Not knowing that they are. And this is where you want to take a look back and you want to be able and I love the words to the song. Like it just really hit me. Matt chose like the perfect song for it. And so we'll get it posted in the Facebook group. And I know this is going to be on YouTube for people as well. Um, I think you have to have the link in order to get there, but I know people are going to come and want to watch it. And, you know, to be able to know that Bless and Release is just this most beautiful thing if you learn to do it in a really good way. And I do it quite often. And it's not always sad tears. Sometimes I'm like, yay, we're letting that go. Let's move on. And sometimes I'm really ready, you know. Um, but I think the idea of it is so powerful. I wanted to say a thing about as you bring in next year, and I hope you chose some affirmations or some places where you really want to take your life in your own personal development, in your family and relationships, in your health and in your wealth. I'm hoping you took the time to say, here's what I'd love to concentrate on. And what I would do, just as a suggestion, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you I would make something very special about that, even if it's just a sticky note or a tag board on your wall or something. Do something with those so that they are prominent wherever you are, be it in your bathroom, in your closet, somewhere where you can see them and be reminded, this is the decision that I will do. Will you want to, can you get distracted during the year? Oh yeah, 365 days, you got to wake up every day and say, this is my word and this is what I'm going to work towards. This is what I want to experience. I shouldn't say work towards. This is what I want to experience, but you have to come into an awareness of that experience. And so we're going to do a really quick review of what we've done over the last couple of days. I'll do it really, really quick. But I want to, before we do that, I just want to talk about the construct of time. Time is a construct. And when I hear somebody say, I don't have enough time, there's not enough time in the day, what I realize is we use measurements of time. When you love what you do, have you ever been on vacation and you don't care about the time? Like you just love it, or you watch a movie, or you're doing a craft, or you're doing something that you absolutely love, and all of a sudden somebody mentions the time and like 2 or 3 hours have gone by and you're like, where did all the time go? Sometimes even days can go by and you're like, I can't believe we're at the end of this. Where did all the time go? You know, when you are loving what you do, there's no such thing as time. You don't use time. It's when you're managing what you don't like to do that you're concerned about time. And I, I hear this over and over again. People will say to me, I just don't know if I have enough time to work on myself. I don't know if I have enough time. And I think, man, the thing I would want to tell you, the best gift you've ever been given is this life. And you want to give it the most time. You want to help this person that you've been given to have the best life ever, because it is your God-given right to have that. And no one's going to do it for you. You know why I say there is no mommy and daddy who are going to come and save you? Well, my parents passed away pretty early. I know some of you have had the same things, but there is no one coming to rescue you. You must stand and be the leader for you. You must be the advocate for you. You must stand for you and your vision. No one else will. You must. But you can enroll people in your vision. That's what personal creation is about, how you enroll people. You serve others. And as you serve others in your vision or your goal, you serve yourself. And I think it's not about just serving anybody for anything. I think that's where we get a little messed up. But you want to see your vision and put your vision there. And that is your best point of growth, is when you get this turned around for yourself. It sounds selfish, right? Oh my word. First time I could not wrap my head around it. It felt selfish. So that we've done all of this work of blessing and releasing, you really want to leave space for you. That's why we did it, is for you to create something beautiful. So I'm just going to share my screen really quick. And we're just going to go over this really quickly. And you know what? If you, because today's a little bit different, but if you have something that you want to, stop, raise your hand, say something, and we'll stop it real quick. But if I were going to write down a quote, this would be the quote that I would keep in front of me this year. That you cannot connect the dots going forward. You can only connect the dots looking back. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You got to trust. You got to trust your own point of creation. And I don't think in Steve Jobs' wildest dreams would he have imagined the impact he has had on our world. He's had a tremendous impact. And I think in many ways for the good. I really see it as the good. It's allowed us to connect, our world connect. He's been one of the innovators of our world with a simple idea that he had, which really was just to connect us all. I really love this quote or this reading from Esther Hicks, from Jerry and Esther Hicks and Abraham Hicks. There is no desire that anyone holds for any other reason than that they believe they will feel better in the achievement of it. Whether it is a material object, a physical state of being, a relationship, a condition, or a circumstance, at the heart of every desire is the desire to feel good. Oh, what would happen if you had that invitation to yourself this year that I will work to help this person, me, feel good. I want to live in a state of joy. It is up to you. And so the standard of success in life is not the things or the money. The standard of success is absolutely the amount of joy you feel. And I mean, I want you this year to chew that word, joy that you feel. Everybody say it out loud. Joy that you feel. You want to chew on that. It's so good. And so the standard of success in life is not the things or the money. The standard of success is the amount of joy you feel. The basis of life is freedom. And the result of life is expansion, but the purpose of life, of your life, is joy. And that is why the main event has never been manifestation. It has always been the way you feel in the moment. In other words, you intend to come into energy that creates worlds. You intend. You intend to use energy that creates worlds and to flow it toward your object of attention, not because the objects of attention are important, but because the act of flowing energy is essential to life. So I would write this down, this part right here. The basis of life is freedom. The result of life is expansion. And the purpose of your life is joy. And that's why the main event has never been manifestation. It has been the joy you feel. And that's what you want to practice, is noticing what you notice. That's why some of these quotes that love is resonance is so important. So important. And to understand your own personal creation. What can I give to others? What can I give to myself? When you understand personal creation, you have a vision and you live by that vision. How can I help others understand me and understand my purpose in life, my joy in life? And when somebody expresses themselves to you, you're going to hear their joy. You're no longer going to hear, I should do that, and I should do that, and I should do that, and oh, I'm obligated to that. What would it feel like if you stopped shoulding on yourself? Shoulding is really nasty business. You want to get into the heart of your own joy. And when you're in that, trust me, you'll be able to give yourself a command for anything you want and it will come because you have a sense of joy about it. Sometimes we approach how we show up to things is, oh, this is going to be hard. Oh, it's going to be difficult. I don't want to do it. Do you know what I mean? I often share this story about you want to check yourself. Are you one of those friends that if somebody says, let's go to a movie, are you one that says, let's go? Yay, I'm so excited. Who else is going? Or are you one of those people saying, which theater are you going to go? Who's coming? Who's driving? Which friend are you? If somebody has an idea, are you somebody that says, tell me, yeah, what about the movie are you excited about? Are you somebody that gets joyful at things, or do you find yourself overcapacitated? You want to free up your life so you can experience other people's beautiful experiences, but if you are too full up, you won't experience your own nor anybody else's, and you won't be inspired for the year. You want to be inspired during this year. Let's go to the next one really quickly. Small things make perfection. Perfection is no small thing. It's a pretty big ask that we're doing when it comes to bless and release. Simplicity is a very complex process. And that's why if you get order to it, it makes it so much simpler, especially when you understand your main job is to help you enjoy life. You never trip on the mountaintop. You only trip on the small sticks and stones on the way up. And you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model. That's what bless and release is all about. Build a new model that makes the old model obsolete. So the way that you want to evaluate yourself is really, what did I do well? What did I learn? And what am I willing to implement now? So let's go through this. The highest and most beautiful thing in life are not to be heard about, nor read about, nor seen, but if one will, are to be lived. How do you want to live next year? Um, I love this quote by Soren Kierkegaard, and he says, we can only get in touch with our own source of intuition and wisdom when we no longer depend upon others' opinions for our sense of identity and worth. We all tend to worship something. The question is, will we worship the God of opinion or the God of our heart? I found I had less to say until finally I became silent and began to listen. I discovered in the silence the voice of God, which to me just means creation, the ability to create. So these last little ones, when you are clear, you are kind. When you are unclear, you are unkind. So where your attention goes, your energy flows. And we're only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. So I'm hoping that this year you can be as imaginative as you possibly can. And you know what? I hope you do this more than just one time this year. I hope you do it several times. Try it for every month and see what happens. So we went over our self-image, our health, our relationships, and our wealth. And just the last little ones that we want to fill out. Forgiveness is the most liberating thing you can ever do. Form the habit of not holding on to anything that causes you to feel bad. Expressing gratitude instantly shifts your vibrations, so the good in everything moves towards you. The only thing that separates you from the good you desire is awareness, to have an effective awareness. Okay, so we got all of that caught up. This is my last quote that I want to share with you before we get into go for it. What does it mean to go for it for this year? I love this quote, and we'll put it in the Facebook group as well, but it says, my mind is a center of divine operation. The divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression. And this means the production of something beyond what has gone before, something entirely new, not included in past experiences, though proceeding out by an orderly sequence of growth. What a great idea that each of us, we are a divine center of operation. That is the gift each one of us have been given, and that we're always for expansion. And the expansion proceeds out of what we've known, but we're not meant to stay there. We're meant to proceed out from that. We're meant to go further than what we have been before. Therefore, since the divine cannot change its inherent nature, it must operate in the same manner with me. Consequently, in my own special world, of which I am the center, it will move forward to produce new conditions, always in advance of any that have gone before. Oh, so beautiful, right? When you think about it, when you think about this is the gift that each of us have been given, and how many of us spend our time concerned or worried or frustrated or, unsure. What would happen if you could live with the assurity that everything that you have wanted has been already, it's already available to you? So I want to share with you, what will it take for you to go for it this year? What will it take? And so I'm going to go over a little bit of a presentation that I really practice quite a lot. And it's because I believe in these profound concepts that get you on the road. And so if you've seen some of this before, great. If not, just be open, and you have notes to take notes on. Hopefully it's going to stimulate some new things for you this year when you think about your goal and think about what you want to accomplish. So we'll just get back over here and um, let's see, here we go. What would it be like if you knew the hidden mechanism to achieve any goal every single time? I mean, that would be pretty exciting, wouldn't it? This is how I felt as I began to unlock some pretty incredible things for myself, to live the life that I want to live. Can I just share this really quickly with you? Yeah, you've all met Matt. He's pretty spectacular, right? And you know what? I think I'm pretty fabulous too. But I have to tell you, I think one of the main reasons that we are this way is because we've learned to have appreciation for one another. Because I can tell you, I have another side to me that wants to express as well. And she would like to take the show any moment. And I have to learn to manage how I think. And as wonderful as Matt is, he has to make a decision every day as well. And I've seen days where he has not made the decision. They are not pretty. I love when Matt does the big eyes. Don't let my secret out. But as well for me, I've had days where what would it be like if you could unlock that mechanism of awareness within yourself, that anything you decided, you could absolutely receive, that your success is absolutely guaranteed. And I will tell you, the universe is very friendly. It's very friendly to your ideas, but you got to be aware of what ideas you're putting out there. And I will tell you, the universe is always listening, always. Not only listening, it's always feeling, because we're a part of it. I think one of the reasons why most of us want to understand this mechanism is because next year it's time to step into a new economy. Now, I'm not talking about a global economy. I'm not even talking about a local economy. I'm talking about your own personal economy, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your relationships, your health, your wealth. This is you creating it. It's time to step into that for yourself. And I think some of the big reasons why we want to step into this kind of life is we have three lifestyle desires that we're looking for. One is, what would it be like if next year you were free from any financial concern? What would that feel like if money flowed to you and things happened in such a beautiful way, you were creating in such a beautiful way that money was no longer the reason you were making decisions. You were making decisions because things were just flowing very beautifully for you. The second lifestyle desire that I think people are wanting as they go through it is they want to wake up every morning enthused about how they're going to spend their day. I mean, how would it feel like if you could wake up just excited about your day every day, just loved it? You know, there was a period of time I wasn't. I would have up and down days all over the place. What would happen if you could learn how to make a conscious decision for yourself to love what you do and do what you love? The third lifestyle desire I think people are looking for is they would like to enjoy daily relationships with other men and women who are upbeat, enthusiastic, and creatively productive. You know, it feels so good when you're around people that love what they do and do what they love and so creative. Have you ever been around those people that just like, how are you going to do that? How much time is that gonna, how, what is that gonna cost you? You know, those people, I do not mean to be offensive. I'm just gonna say this really quickly. I'm so sorry, Mo. I'm gonna use a little swear word. I'm so sorry. It's not a big one, but it's still, any dumbass can tell you how it won't work. I know. That anyone can tell you how it won't work. It takes a really special person to see beyond how it can be done. Where are you spending your time? Are you spending time with people that tell you how it can't be done? Or do you spend time with people who inspire you? You are choosing this. You're making this decision. It's the decisions that we make that are so important. I love this quote: the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. That's what the literacy of the 21st century is. Things are moving at such a rapid rate. It's our ability to adapt to ideas that flow into our mind. And how many of us, when ideas flow into our mind, we repress it or suppress it? We won't even let ourselves have it. Well, you know what? We've spent a lot of time together over the last few days, but I want to just share with you a little things about myself that you might not know about. I'm actually a licensed facilitator and coach. I don't know if you know that. And I'm a natural laws expert and a continuous student. I have a successful business with outstanding client relationships all over the world. I love that. The world is becoming smaller and smaller because our ability to connect with people. Here's what I hope you and I have the most in common, especially going into next year, is that you want more out of life than what you're currently living. There's so much for us to explore. It's crazy all the good things that are out there. I personally surround myself with high-level mentors and coaches for my own growth and expansion. And because of the concept of bless and release, this concept alone, I've crafted a fulfilling life for myself and my family by staying true to my own values, becoming aware of myself. And of course, I've been married to Matt for 34 years and I got three grown girls, three adult women, and they have been my best teachers. And I'm not going to say any more about that because I'll get teary today. So my purpose and vision is I love to support people using the power of their mind to ignite a spiritual side of themselves to enhance their peak performance. You know what? I know we have skilled people on here, amazing people on here, people who are in their field are doing really, really well, and they want more. And what I'm talking about is not spirituality in the sense of religion. That's spirituality has a lot of definitions, but I'm talking about the unseen, the unimagined, the imagination, and bringing it into form. It is your God-given right to do that. Any idea that you hold in the mind, you can bring it into the world. And it's your gift to be able to do that. I guide individuals in living a more fulfilled life to elevate themselves and to move forward without fear and worry. I provide solutions to move from reacting to responding in life because of circumstances. And I mentor people to live a life of vision and purpose rather than reacting to circumstances while navigating transitions for your growth and awareness. And I'm dedicated to providing a learning community that emphasizes transformation over passive information. Now, I just want to share this with you because I think this is so important to understand this, is there is a difference between um, professional development and personal development. And this has been so profound to me as I've begun to learn this for myself. Professional development is when you learn about something. Personal development is when you live something, when you begin to live it. Now, I'm going to show you an idea called the stick figure in just a moment, but I want you to be able to understand that your thought and how you think is what brings your world around to you, the thought that you think. You see, we have these amazing natural laws that I mentioned. And some of the natural laws are every single one of us, there's a law called the law of cause and effect. For every single effect you see in the world and every effect you are involved in or every circumstance you're involved in has a cause. It has a cause. And sometimes we're not aware of the cause to get that effect. Some of the effects that are in your life may shock you. They are there because you allowed them to be there. They didn't happen to you. They're happening for you. They're there to help you become aware. They're not there to make you wrong. They're there to help you make a different decision. Before we started recording this, we were talking about decision making. And we were talking about how we make decisions and what are decisions based on. Well, you know, one of the biggest things that I began to learn about decisions is I started learning about what is a paradigm. So I want to go over a few ideas about what a paradigm is, if I can. Whoops, I'm going to try and move this along. We're going to click on something and then I'm going to move it along. A paradigm, a paradigm is a multitude of habits and behaviors. That's what a paradigm is. A paradigm is a multitude of habits and behaviors. Whatever it is that you want to create in the world, you're building a paradigm about it. You're putting pieces together to build a paradigm. But I can tell you, we have some old paradigms that are running the show, some ideas that we were programmed with. And these ideas sometimes can really get in the way of what we're trying to create for ourselves. Remember, a paradigm is a multitude of habits. I'm going to put my in front of it. It's a mental program that has almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. And almost all of your behavior is habitual. Now, I want to share with you what's happening in the mind of when you're going after something, when you're really going after something, to understand that something's running the show. The results that you are getting is because of your decision about an idea. And that idea you may have outgrown, if you know what I'm talking about. So let's say that you really want to go after it. You really want to do something different, and you understand what paradigms are. You can begin to understand, what type of goal am I choosing? You may be choosing one of three different types of goals in your life. And as soon as you become aware of the types of goals you're choosing, you may look at your life quite differently. So there's three types of goals that I want to talk about. The first type of goal is called an A-type goal. And an A-type goal is a goal that you already know how to do. You know, I'm somebody who loves to write out lists and cross off things. Does anyone else feel that way? You just love crossing out, so you feel like you're accomplishing something. I love those kind of lists when you cross things off. You know what? A goal is not to get, a goal is to help you grow. And we keep doing things to get. And we don't realize sometimes we start having diminishing returns on what we're getting. And it just seems like the world just passes us by. It might be time to level up to a different type of goal. So, you know, for me, I leveled up to the next type of goal, which is a B type goal. I went after something and I had no idea how to do it. And I didn't ask for any help or anything. I just thought, you know what? With my bag of tricks, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to get her done. And so I did that. And let me tell you, I worked hard. Anybody know what I'm talking about? You're working really, really hard and your life gets really out of balance and it's like you want to quit. You're just grinding it out. There's no joy in it. You're caught in the discipline of it without the joy of it. This is where people will quit. The goal wasn't worthy of you. You thought it was a good idea, but you didn't really love it yet. That's a B type goal. You usually grind it out and you don't enjoy it. The third type of goal is I call this a C type goal, or Bob called this a C type goal. And a C type goal is a goal that you would really love to live and you have no idea how you're going to do it. It may seem absolutely visionary. Like, have you ever had that, a vision, like the idea of turning your annual income into a monthly income? Think about that for a minute, your annual income. I know some people have heard this before and have attempted it and maybe have failed on a number of occasions, but the idea still remains very exciting. You know, it's really interesting. I was one of those people that I had been doing A type goals and B type goals, and I finally allowed myself to do a C type goal with help. I allowed myself to have help this time. And you know what? 2 months later, I turned my annual income into a monthly income. Now, let me tell you, the other person didn't help me with that. What they helped me with was my mindset. See, my mindset was about people pleasing. And I didn't realize how much I was people pleasing. And I didn't realize that paradigm of people pleasing was controlling my life. And I see it control so many people who come and ask for help or say, you know what, I really want this. What gets in the way for most people is wanting to please other people. I know I've had many conversations with some of you on here about getting caught in this trap of pleasing other people. And to define what it is that you want, it's a big deal. I mean, if you look at Matt's face, look at that guy. How would you want to like disappoint him or do something that he might not be in harmony with? Well, I did. I did. Because I learned to love me and I said, this is a life I want to live. And we live a pretty good life. We live a pretty good life because this was a desire that I wanted to express. What would happen if you started expressing your desire in the world? You started learning new ways for you to have the life that you want. You know, the interesting thing about paradigms I find is that there's somebody else's programming that they taught us. I learned a lot of programming from my dad. My dad was a logger and he taught me to work really hard for my money. And boy, was I ever. And I made the decision I wanted to do something different. Now, when I made the decision to go after it and do something different, I can tell you I came across some levels of my own awareness as I was growing. And if you're making a decision to go for it, you're going to come across some different levels of awareness. So I'm just going to jump over here to this really quickly. It's funny, my thing just sort of, I'm going to pull this way over. I'm going to come way over here really quickly. Okay, so we understand that paradigms are kind of difficult to change. They're difficult to change in our awareness of them. How do you get aware of your paradigm? We all have them, and I can tell you your results are always telling the truth about your paradigm. So whenever you look at the results of your life, this is the part that's, I think, difficult for people, is to look at their cause and effect of their result. That's where you see your paradigm. I have people who come to me and say, I'd like to make this type of money, and a year goes by or 2 years go by, and they don't realize what paradigm is running the show. So there's two ways to change a paradigm. The first way of changing a paradigm, if you're aware of it, is you can have it through an emotional impact. When you really listen to the feelings that you have about things and you say, I would love that, you can create an emotional impact in a really, really positive way. I can tell you, most of us will only make changes in a negative way. But what would happen if you could do it in the positive? You see, I started doing it based on a positive idea. I didn't do it based on a negative one. I had a negative one happen to me, but I changed it into a positive one. I learned how to give myself positive emotional impacts by paying attention to what I loved. Another thing that I started doing is I started having what's called a constant spaced repetition. This is where I build an image of what I wanted. I got very clear. I learned to get emotionally involved in it. I wasn't emotionally involved in it. This is where inspiration comes into play. Jill, we were talking earlier today about the difference between inspiration and motivation. They're not the same. Inspiration comes from the idea of in spirit. I am inspired. I can tell you things about, an idea of a life. I can share with you about my life. You probably have heard things from other people's lives. You are in spirit. It's an idea of inside. I am in spirit in this idea. I have resonance with it. I like that idea. Do you recognize when you like an idea? Do you understand your own resonance? Or are you quickly somebody that is, I don't know about that? I can tell you your awareness plays a big key in what you're doing. So let's take a look at what happens when you build an image of what you would love. You get emotionally involved in that idea. Do you know what follows when you know how to do this? Effortless action. It's like every door opens up and you're like, whoo, that's fantastic. This feels so good. So we want to learn to use a combination of emotional impacts and a constant spaced repetition. So let's do it towards our goal really quickly, what we want to experience next year. So we're going to let these levels we're going to let these lines represent levels of vibration. And often levels of vibration are referred to as frequencies. Think about a radio station. Do you know you live in a sea? You live in a sea of radio waves. You may not be able to see them, but they're there. All the good that's trying to come to you, it's there. All those vibrations are right there. We don't understand that we actually think on frequencies. And you may not be aware of the frequency you're dialed into. Why? Because you were programmed with that frequency, but you can shift it whenever you want. That's a promise. Let's take a look at what happens when we do that. So we have these frequencies that we live on, and we think on frequencies. Every great leader and philosopher has told us that we are the sum total of the thoughts that we think about. There is a cause to an effect. We think thoughts and we get the results of those thoughts. Now, if you don't like the results, you want something different, something inspires you, you may see that and say, you know what, I want to experience that. And so you make a decision, I'm going after that. But what happens when we go after it is we start noticing I don't know why my thing is just jumping all over. Sorry. We have this idea and we see it, and we don't have clouds up here. We aren't thinking on that frequency. We're thinking down here still. And so we start looking down here, and you know what happens? You will never find the answer here. And you can get really discouraged. And so the decision fades. I guess I'm not meant to do it. I guess it's not for me. And when the decision fades, guess what? The goal goes away. You see, inspiration has a really short shelf life unless you're willing to do something about it. You see, this is the frequency that has the thoughts to manifest the goal, but you're addicted to your thoughts down here. If you're not receiving the goal that you have right now, that means something else is running the show. Something else. Your results always tell the truth. So what we've got to develop within ourselves is a paradigm shift. We need some of these high octane thoughts for ourselves to get us what it is that we truly, truly want. So what we've got to do is we've got to let go of how we've always done it in the past. We've got to proceed. I can't believe I put my book away. I'm going to pull this back out really quickly. I put it in, but sorry. My mind is a center of divine operation. There it is. My mind is a center of divine operation. The divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression. And that means the production of something beyond what has gone before, something entirely new. And this is where you want to see your goal is that idea, something new. It's caught your attention. It's expanded you. That's brilliant that it does. Anything that gets your attention is something amazing, because that divine center in you is wanting to express. And you remember what it said? If we go back to that reading, is that it says freedom. What drives us is freedom. And that freedom expands us. And when we have that expansion and we receive it, it brings us so much joy. So when you want something, it's really a good thing, because it's going to help you expand and receive so much more. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pick this goal again, and we're going to make a committed decision. This I will do. I will have this experience. I will create this for myself. So we must let go of the way we've always done it. You're going to create a new identity, build a new model to make the old model obsolete. And when we start thinking thoughts and appear with joy, do you know what appears? Effortlessly, the goal. Believe it or not, we're always thinking about frequencies and we're reading frequencies. I know intellectually we're not, but really what's happening is that we're seeing things with our eyes, what we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. We see them and we read the vibration, and then we store it in our mind. We store it in a neural pathway. And so even if I say something as, let's just use an example, something as simple as a feather, if I asked you, have you ever seen a feather before? Yeah. You've read the frequency, you stored it in your subconscious mind, you've stored it in the mind. And so even if I say the mind, or even if I say the feather, you will, even if I show you a picture, you'll say, oh, that's a feather. So if we know that everything is happening within the mind, and we've gotten very clear what we want to have for next year, we may not know how we're going to do it. You don't need to know the how right now. You just need to know it's possible for you. The how will show up, trust me. But if you don't do this work first, and I think this is where one of the misconceptions of manifestation comes from, is that you must be in a feeling first. Feeling is the secret. When you find that joy, manifestation is easy because you connect with joy. Whatever thought you have, you connect it with joy. And this is where manifestation will start showing up. I often use this idea about the color red. In your office or in your space that you're in right now, do you see the color red anywhere? Were you thinking about red a few moments ago? Probably not. But as soon as I turned that on in you, all of a sudden the red appeared. Everything is already here that you want. It's not missing. It's already here. Just your attention is not on it. The reason it's not on it is because old paradigms are running the show, and you're more addicted to those than your new idea. And this can happen quickly. It's not about, people think manifestation, there's a gestation. I will hear people say, I love teaching the natural laws, and one of the laws is the law of gestation. And I saw you, Alvina, nod your head. Yes, the manifestation is so, sorry, gestation is so important to understand. People think it's about time. Gestation is about time. It's never about time. It's about your ability to receive it. It's about being in receivership. And sometimes our inability to be in receivership, that's why time shows up. Time is a construct. Time is just a construct. It's your ability to gather evidence. How quickly do you want to gather evidence? What would happen if you could gather, if it's all here? What would happen if you could gather evidence much quicker? This is where understanding old paradigms will stop you. If you received what you have right now, I will tell you probably wouldn't be able to hang on to it quite yet because you haven't built a paradigm around it yet. Some of you in the process of building a paradigm about it, but your ability to sustain that energy comes from your ability of your thoughts. I think we're just way too busy. Do you know what I mean? We're way too busy. Have you ever tried to make a really good cake fast? I'm not talking about a box cake. I mean, I'm talking about making a cake at home. If you make it too fast and you open the oven before it's risen and baked, it'll just fall. It'll just flop. It needs the time to rise. It needs the time it needs to gather the evidence of the heat. It'll only allow, because of the density of the batter, to allow the heat to come in. Isn't that fascinating? What would you say if I told you everything about your goal is based on physics? I mean, that's pretty exciting. I loved that idea when I started learning. Everything comes from time, distance, mass, and electrical charge. Everything does. Everything that you put on that paper of what you want for your self-image, what you want for your family, what you want for your health and your wealth, all of those things are a matter of your ability to manage energy. And I think we do too many things. I think we're involved in too many things, and we cannot gather the evidence of it happening. What would happen if you could condense time frames and get very dialed in on what it is that you want? What would that feel like if you could get there a lot quicker? So let's take a look at how our mind works. If we understand how the mind works, I'm going to ask you this question. Can you picture the mind? Do you know what the mind looks like? Most people, when I ask them, they'll tell me this. This is the brain. This is no more the mind than your elbow or your toe is. You see, remember I was telling you that my father-in-law's favorite day is June 21st, and he passed away in June 21st. And when he passed away, I was in the room with him by myself while Matt ran upstairs to get the ambulance to come in. And what I noticed is that his mind was gone, but his brain was still there. The mind was gone. He was no longer there, but his brain was still there. And I don't think we understand what the mind is. And so there was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Thurman Fleet, and he helped with, he was involved in the healing arts and holistic health. And he was a chiropractor, and he started realizing that even though people had a brain, He wanted to help them with their mind and their mindset. He saw that when people were thinking about something, they would draw energy to themselves, and then they would be afraid to express it, and that energy would start building and building and building in their body. And he learned that when you don't express, you suppress, you begin to build a dis-ease. You're not at ease with yourself, you're at a place of dis-ease. And so he thought, you know what, I want to help with health with this. What would happen if I could show people energy must express? It must express. When it's suppressed, it's turned inward, and it's got to express. It'll find its way to express. Trust me, it will. And so Dr. Thurman Fleet, he came up with this really great concept. He said, the mind is an activity. It's not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. In order to gain clarity and eliminate confusion, I'll create an image of activity that we can work with. Pretty brilliant, right? He came up with this really simple thing called the stick figure. And, being able to work with Bob shared with me this was the most valuable idea he had ever learned. And I will tell you, this is what has helped me manifest, is getting a hold of how I feel. And so I want to show you how it works. We're going to let the top part represent our mind, not our brain, but our mind, and the bottom part represent our body. And you notice the top part is quite a bit bigger than the bottom. And that's because it is so much more powerful. But I will tell you, we don't understand this part. I will tell you, I've spent a lot of time, I've been doing this for 8 years, and the misconception of how the mind works is incredible. I didn't know either until Bob showed me. And even though I manifested very, very quickly because I understood the joy and the freedom that I was going to have, it took me 3 years to be able to describe it to another person so that I could help them. And I've spent most of my days trying to help people understand how this works. So the conscious mind, you've heard that terminology, that's the top part of the stick figure. The conscious mind is our thinking mind. This is where our intellect is. This is where education is. This is where we choose to accept or reject ideas. And this is where we originate thought. It's so important to know this. The bottom part is our subconscious mind. In our subconscious mind, this is where our emotional mind is. This is where our memories are, our habits, our conditioned beliefs. This is where our self-image is. The good, the bad, the ugly, the wonderful, all of it is here. This you must accept. The subconscious mind you must accept. You cannot reject. So how is a person's mind programmed? How did it get programmed? That was my biggest question. And this is where you begin to understand when a baby is born, it doesn't have a conscious mind. It doesn't have an intellectual mind developed yet. It's wide open. And it has its subconscious mind wide open. And believe it or not, this is where paradigms are formed. Do you know what? I know some of you are mothers on here. But when you had your baby, and if you passed your baby off to somebody, they would sometimes get really upset, right? Because they like the vibration of your body, of your heart. They recognize it. And so sometimes when you're upset, did you ever notice when you were upset, your baby would be upset? Yeah, they're reading vibration. We actually do it without knowing it. It's so subconscious to us, we don't even recognize that we're doing it. But we're always reading vibrations. Have you ever went into a room and you're like, this room doesn't feel good? Or somebody walks into the room and you're like, that energy don't feel good. Or somebody walks in, you're like, ooh, I really like that. Yeah, you're always reading vibrations, whether you know it or not. It's a natural gift that we all have. So let's take a look at how paradigms are formed. They're formed very early when a baby is, as babies are being developed, they're developed genetically. That's why we look like our family members, and they're developed environmentally, the way they see the world. Oops, sorry, went the other way. A paradigm is a part of our conditioning of the mind. It's our conditioned thought patterns. So when we get to about age 5 or 7, believe it or not, the subconscious mind starts breaking away and or the conscious mind starts breaking away and starts developing on its own. And it happens around age 5 or 7. And we start taking in information through our senses, what we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And what happens is information starts coming in. This is why we're so addicted to information. Information starts coming in, and then we put it to our subconscious mind how we feel. And then that sets up a vibration in our body. And when that vibration is in our body, this is the part of manifestation right now. When a vibration is in our body, we like finding like things. We like the resonance of things. And that's what makes us attracted to things. And that's why we get the results. We get the results because of thoughts that we're thinking. Now, I can tell you this. If you want to change your results, there's a lot of philosophies out there on changing your results. In fact, one of the biggest ones, the ones that I see the most are, let's take a look at the actions that you took. Let's take a look at the feelings that you felt, and let's take a look at how you were thinking. This is a very hard way to change a paradigm. This is called motivation. This is motivation. I find it very difficult to do this. But I have found that through inspiration, using these higher intellectual faculties, it has changed everything. Now, you can have information or inspiration and motivation, self-motivation. You don't want to have an outside motivation. You want to have self-motivation. How you develop self-motivation is through inspiration of using these higher intellectual faculties. And these faculties are memory, your ability to memorize, reason, perception, imagination, will, and intuition. Where do you think these higher intellectual faculties are found? Are they in the conscious mind or the subconscious mind? I can tell you what most people tell me. They believe they're in the subconscious mind. Here's the thing. They're in the conscious mind because the subconscious mind, if you remember, can't reject. It can only accept. Let me give you an example. My dad told me as a logger, you have to work really hard for your money. And boy, was I doing that. And then Bob told me what would happen if you could earn 50,000 and it was easy. And so I loved that idea. And through my imagination, I started saying, yeah, what would happen if it could happen? He helped me with my perception and some of my reasoning. And he had me write a story as if it was happening. And I committed it to memory. I had to hold that story. No one was going to do it for me. It wasn't going to just stay in the notebook. I had to live it. And as I began to live my vision, I held it there with my will. Nobody else was going to hold it. Trust me, I tried to make everybody hold it for me. I had to learn to hold it for myself. And this is where your will is so powerful. And what happens is when another energy or another frequency shows up, your intuition will tell you that's not the frequency we're on. We're on this frequency. This is why I gave you that quote, when you're clear, you're kind. When you're unclear, you're unkind. See, manifestation, I believe, is very kind. When you decide this is what I'd love to have, you are very kind to yourself. But what happens is we let old paradigms run the show that don't let us have it. And we want to use different reasoning and different logic in order to get what we want, because we're for expansion and fuller expression. So let's see I'm going to share with you just a couple more things about the conscious and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind can do about 2,000 bits of information per second. It's a really fast processor. It's really fast. And if you think about 2,000 bits of information per second, think about 60 seconds in a minute. That's 120 bits of information in a minute. Think about 60 minutes in an hour, 7.2 million bits of information. Think of an 8-hour day. You're at 57.6 million bits of information. And then you go to bed at night and you go to sleep and you integrate this into your nervous system. This is why we're a bit twitchy, a little stressed out at times. But actually, scientists will tell us that we're not actually doing 57 million, although we're capable of doing that. We're actually only doing about 50 to 70,000 bits of information every day versus our 57 million. Why so low? Well, we don't understand how the conscious and the subconscious mind work and how they work together. Nobody taught me how to think either. It was assumed. And what I was doing was just thinking what other people wanted me to think. I didn't know how to do this for myself. The thing about the conscious and the subconscious mind is you can only think about one thing at a time, but it flips really, really fast. I'll give you an example. Because some of you are going to say, well, I multitask all the time. You're not multitasking. You're doing one thing at a time and flipping back and forth. In fact, I have this pin, just something as simple as a pin. You can either look at this end or this end at one at a time, but you can't look at both ends at the same time. You can look at the pin as a whole, but you will not be able to look at both ends at the same time. And I know some of you are straining your eyes to try and do it. I can tell you, the thing about the conscious and the subconscious mind is it can only focus on one thing at a time, but it can flip really fast. Let me go to this next part really quickly. Now, I want to share with you something about the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind has access to over 400 million bits of information all simultaneously. That's how powerful our programming is. Everything from our programming we got access to. It's incredible once we realize, how do I make connections to things that I really want to do? I really want to be and do and have. Well, you got to understand what's running the show. If you think about it, our old paradigm, the way we were brought up to see the world, is running the show and telling us what to see in the world. And it's telling us how to act in the world. You see, I used this example with Mo the other day. I grew up in Montana. Mo grew up in South Africa. I think that's correct. She grew up in South Africa. We have very different experiences. What's really normal for me isn't going to be normal for her. And what's normal for her isn't going to be normal for me. We come from two different cultures. But I can tell you, she and I think the same. It's not the things, it's that we all process things the same way. We all have a conscious mind and we all have a subconscious mind, and this is the way that it works. What would happen if you could learn how that worked to where you understood other people better, where you understood yourself and you practiced understanding your conscious and subconscious mind? Because let me tell you, if you can understand this, if you can get really the subconscious mind, let me go back here. The subconscious mind, the old programming, is telling you what to see in the world, and it's telling you how to act in the world. And it's perfectly lined up. And this is what's called a paradigm. We're in one frequency. It's a habit. It's a habit of how we see life. And so if we don't like the results that we're getting from this habit, well, we could use those higher mental faculties and build a new model. So we could say, this is what I would love to experience. This is how I'd like to feel about it. And here's how I'd like to act about it. Now, people do this all the time with vision boards and meditations and journaling and writing out things. They do all these kinds of things to change their thinking. But I can tell you, it's all going to stay in the conscious mind. It doesn't get past the psychic barrier to get into all three levels of awareness. So how do you do that? Well, sometimes you gotta take action even when you're not ready to. And sometimes you've got to feel feelings that you've never felt before. And you got to hold one idea on the screen of your mind. Sometimes when we're doing this, it's not all perfectly lined up. This is what's called a failure right here. It's not perfectly lined up, but you know what is your old way of doing it. And so you run right back to your old way of doing it because we like the feeling of wholeness. We like the feeling of everything's working out perfectly. Does that make sense? And that's why we keep returning to old ways and old patterns. And it's tough to build the new model. So what do you need to do to build the new model? Well, it's good to have somebody who's in your corner who can say, let's hold this idea. I want to share this idea with you. And to build, excuse me, a new feeling about it. And you sustain the feeling about it. And to learn to take action. And you build on this. Your divine center helps you become aware of it. And this is when your results will change. And this is where your conditions in your environment will change. You know what? People are trying to stay the same, yet get different results. Do you know what I'm talking about? They want better, but they don't know how to do better. Well, that is a spiritual practice. It's a practice of learning how to work with your conscious and your subconscious mind. So here's what I'd love to do. I put in your workbook a decision article, and Elvina was talking about she went and she read it last night. I thought I was really good at making decisions. You know, I had owned 2 storefront businesses. My husband and I have raised 3 girls. You know, I thought I was very good at making decisions, but I found out I wasn't. I was just running by an old paradigm that wasn't even working for me. And so I had to learn to build a new paradigm for myself. And so I wanted to know, how was I making decisions? What was I being persistent in? And what was I taking responsibility for of what I was creating? Was I still in the blame game? Was I still blaming circumstances and people? And because I was manifesting those things, I was. So what would happen if I could show you a way where you could change that? You know, for some people, it's just a little tweak in their thinking, just a small little tweak in that. And here's what I'd like to do. I am what's called a high touch coach. I'm going to be honest, that probably sounds kind of strange. What does that mean, a high touch coach? I'm somebody that I enjoy walking through things with people. I enjoy it. I've created a program and it's a study of you. It's not a study of me. And I know some people at times could be really afraid to book a call with me because they think I'm going to sell them something and I'm going to walk away and I got to spend some money. What would happen if you didn't? Or what would happen if you did? If you could get the dream or whatever you wanted, would that be of interest? I can tell you what some of you are saying right now. Well, I have paid for programs. I have done it, and I haven't got what I wanted. That program didn't help me. You're not aware that it did. Everything that you've learned has brought you to this point of understanding information. But now it's time to transform. It may be time to really do the study of you. You know what? People will study all kinds of information, but then they walk away not knowing how to utilize it for themselves. That's a study of you. People will come and they'll want to work with me and they'll want to just get the information. And they'll get all worried about all kinds of things. Even before we find out what they want, they're already deciding, I don't think I can do it. They're already deciding. And mostly it's out of fear because they didn't learn to get into the feeling of it first. They just wanted to get into the how, the do, the go, the move, the push, the motivate. And they miss life. What would happen if it were effortless? One time when I was doing these events last year, I was talking about a butterfly. And I talked about it, and all of a sudden, people started sending me all kinds of butterflies, pictures of them seeing butterflies. And they said, I saw one today too. I saw one today too. And it wasn't something that I was asking people to do, but it was something that the way that I felt about the butterfly, they wanted to feel the way too. And so they started sending me pictures of butterflies. And it was the feeling that they felt is why they could see the butterfly. What happens if you begin to realize the feeling that you feel is what's causing you to manifest and get what you want? And are you aware of how you feel? You know, there's three things that I talk to people about the foundations of getting what you want. There's three. You ready? The first one is you've got to make a decision. The second is you've got to be persistent in the idea. And the third, you must take responsibility and an awareness of how you manage energy around you. Everyone has that responsibility. What are you inspired by? What are you motivated by? Are you inspired by love and joy and ease and flow? And once you're inspired by that, how do you motivate? What motivates you to keep going? So I would love to sit down with you and take a look at what's motivating you. And I have this decision article that I would love for you to read. And then there's 8 questions that I would love for you to take a look at. And these 8 questions allow me to understand what's motivating you. It's sort of a peek. I use them in a really unique way. But how you do anything is how you do everything. So I would love if you could book a call with myself or one of my team members, and I would love to hear what is motivating you. And if I can help you understand what's motivating you for next year, you picked what you wanted for next year, but there's something that's running the show. And we want to find out what's motivating you. Sometimes love motivates people, and sometimes fear motivates people. And they sometimes can look alike. When I ask people what they want, they'll say, well, I want that. It's not a matter of wanting it. It's a matter of how you're wanting it. Do you want it because you think it's too hard to get? Or are you wanting it because it's easy? It isn't so much the word wanting it, it's the feeling behind it. The feeling is the secret. And sometimes we're not aware of how we feel. We've been feeling it that way for so long. We think that's the way it has to be. But I can tell you, if you have a paradigm that's running the show, is the way your results show up. I'm not here to judge how your results show up. That's not for me to have any word about. What I care about is what you would love to experience. And if I can help you remove some of the ideas that you may not be aware of that's happening, I would love to do that for you. Do you know why? Because it is your God-given right to create what you want in the world, but you must become aware of how you're managing your equipment. I didn't know how to manage my equipment. I didn't know how to manage my conscious and my subconscious mind. I had to learn how to manage that and how I was looking at energy. You see, everything vibrates in this world, absolutely everything. In fact, if you took your hand and you slowed your hand down, your hand is actually vibrating at such a rate that it appears that it's solid. The molecules, this table in front of me, this table isn't solid. That's a paradigm. This table, the molecules are moving in such a way that it appears as if it's solid, but it's just energy moving. This was mind-blowing to me, and I began to see how I was using thoughts like a solid piece of wood. Is I believe this was the only way that I could do it. What would happen if I could show you how you're motivating yourself And what happens if we change that so you can be inspired instead? So here's what I'd like to do. I think Matt's gonna drop a link, and I would love as a gift for you showing up and participating to have a call with me. And you know what? If you got everything you needed from this, great. But if you're like, no, this year I want it, I want to do something different, then book a call. I don't know if we're going to work together. I don't know if you're fit for me. Everybody's always worried about I'm going to talk them into it. Listen, I've rejected people before. I've said, you're not a fit for me. I have people on this call. I've said, you're not a fit for me. I've had people that are now studying with me where they've come back and said, I'm ready now. See, I don't want to work with people that I have to motivate. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in it. But if you're inspired, I can help you sustain that inspiration where you're now self-motivated and not outside motivated. That's tough. That's tough. And you feel guilty and you feel bad. Man, I don't want that in my life. I love to be around inspiring people. And if I can help you get to where you want to go quicker, I would love to do that. So, what happens if we book a call and we just talk? I don't know if we're going to work together. I got several ideas. And I kind of look at people and say, would this work for you? If not, I'm okay. I only want people who want to be here. So I think Matt put the link in for you.
Actually, Angie, we're having a few technical difficulties
Oh,
with the link, so my apologies to that.
oh,
But
okay.
what we're going to do is we're going to reach out to you today. So
Oh, perfect.
accept our us when we reach out to you, and we'll set something up for you. Yeah, because yeah, between houses and computers and cars, and it keeps us busy and dealing with all the problems, right? I apologize for that.
You know
Since
what? Today, when we send out the replay, we might put a thing to book a call that way and have the team also reach out. But you know what? Step into it. Don't let fear get you. Walk in, step in with your eyes wide open and your heart wide open, because you know what? The universe responds beautifully to it. But if you show up in fear and worry and doubt, that's probably how you're showing up to a lot of things. Learn to love you and learn to be able to say, this is right for me or this is not right for me. I'm really okay with it. My goal is to help people get what they want and to do it in a divinely beautiful way where they're listening to their own divine center, not mine. You wouldn't like mine. You are meant to like yours. Although I think mine's pretty fabulous, I have to admit,
it
it's pretty
is.
fabulous. But what would happen if you could build your own? So I just want to thank you for coming on. And what a gift. Thank you so much, Matt. And I want to thank Cassie and Miranda. I don't know if they're still on, but man, Cassie and Miranda have done a fabulous job in our Facebook group. They have put such engaging posts. I love it. It's been like a dream. And we'll leave the Facebook for a while, but go in and look at the Facebook. Thank you, Matt, for all of the things that you help us get excited about. Thank you for the video that you made. And thank you all for participating. You know what? I loved, and if you want to still burn your paper, burn it. We'll add it to the video. Don't become a part of this. I think it's so good. My goal is to do one of these every 6 weeks, to do a different thing. So this year is a really great year for me to grow. I'm going to learn a lot. We'll be sending out a questionnaire as well to help us engage better with you. And what are some topics or things that you would love to talk about? I have a beautiful team. I want to thank so much Jody and Andrea and Jessica for all their help. They're going to be reaching out to you and Matt as well. And allow yourself to be supported. Just
I
allow it.
just I just want to say you're going to be receiving some emails from us, and I understand I am flooded. I mean flooded with emails. So you don't have to read them, but just click on it because that tells our technology that you are still interested in, you will continue to receive those. Otherwise, they end up not sending to you. And I know that because you're here, you're going to want to continue to be plugged in. And
Yeah.
so we want that for you too. So we love you. And Angie's works very hard at providing content that will inspire you to change. Because like I said in the beginning, Angie doesn't care about giving you information. She
Yeah.
cares about your transformation.
Yeah.
And because that's what really drives us, right? And that's what I believe, this is what we all want for the world. We want to inspire change in our own world
Yeah.
around us, right?
So Matt, could you play that one more time as we close out the video?
Video?
And oh, the words are so great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And I look forward to talking with you.
Sunlight fell, it reminded me that life can be so gracious sometimes. And I felt like everything around me was connected somehow. At night I hear the rhythm of the ocean as it breaks on the shore. And I think about all the things that I am grateful for.
I want to thank Angie too for this event and helping me to come to these realizations, because I really was getting emotional and realizing how much I had changed.
They say, hold on to this time we have and let the light shine through. Sometimes I get a little bit emotional when I see love unfold. Two hearts bound by reflections of the memories they'll forever hold. And they say, hold on to the ones you love, keep them close to you. They say, hold on to this time we have and let the light shine through.
And it's gone. I'm so ready. I'm ready for a new year. I'm ready for a new me.
There are blessings all around you. Open up your eyes. Feel the sunlight fall upon you. Let it free your mind. There are blessings all around you. Take a step outside. Let your heart shine in a new light. See it come alive.
Spent my time finishing up writing my bless and release. So I'm going to throw out my little fire and release and look forward for this wonderful 2025 that's going to be coming up. There we go. That's my fire.
To this time we have and let the light shine through.
So excited.